Our next speaker for the session will be Mr. K.S. Viswanathan, Vice President, Industry Initiatives, NASSCOM. He is responsible for leading and building key industry initiatives and the ecosystem to ensure India continues to hold the pole position as the IT products and services destination for the world. His responsibility includes providing leadership to global corporations in India to strengthen the enablers and address the systemic challenges that limits the growth of the IT industry. He is also responsible for implementing the National Skills Registry Initiative and is a member of the NASSCOM Management Committee. Viswanathan is a graduate from BITS Pilani and postgraduate from Madras University. Please welcome Mr. Viswanathan on stage.
You know, I'm trying to be compliant with what Mr. Ganapathy said, not to walk around, move around, stay in one place, quite difficult, but I'll try to do. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Viswanathan. In addition to what she mentioned about me, it's just not for the global corporations in India. My responsibility includes how do you make Indian corporations global. That's what the role which I do. You know, when I looked at the initial request which came from Ganapathy Raman, so could you come and speak about the aspect, I was wondering why am I called? I represent a software where the audience, the community, the NJAB program seems to be around manufacturing. Then I realized, in the context of what Mr. Valentine said, the world is moving towards a convergence in hardware and software that can bring some thought process. And again, I was once again put on a mat because that looks like Ganapathy Raman's way of doing it. So when I look at the agenda, I want to cover something which my previous speaker has already spoken, and I want to put Arundhati in trouble because what I'm going to speak is also going to eat into some of the topic what she's going to cover. Right? It's an advantage I have, but I'll cover all of them. More importantly, I think I pick up some few threads from what Mr. Valentine said. There's an interesting point he said. World Economic Forum definition of it is going from factor to efficiency, and the last point he said, and he says most of the emerging countries, most of the developing countries are all located there, and the key point is government stimulating innovation. So government stimulating innovation. So I'll be spending more time on one large program which just got announced on 1st of July by Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. How does India spur innovation in the area of IoT, right? How do we get industry, academia, government all together? The first time it's initiative in the country for creating a center of excellence for Internet of Things, right? And I have the mantle to run the center of excellence for Internet of Things in the country. I'll spend more time on that. See, how do we spur innovation together as one large community? That's the agenda I have. Now, what I'm going to do is, many of you would know what NASSCOM is, but I'm just going to take one slide to tell what are we trying to do on the NASSCOM side. What has been successful for India the last 25 years? Fantastic. Let's not even talk about that. But what is important today, that globally, the entire global enterprise are challenged by digital. Digital in terms of technology, digital in terms of skills, digital in terms of people. And we have an advantage as a country that fairly 45 to 50% of people, we call them as digital natives. In this hall, I find very little of digital natives. But when I say digital natives, right from the time they 5 years, 6 years, they become completely familiar with whatever digital gadgets are there, and they're driving the way the transaction should take place. As a parent to child, or a parent to the child to a business, the child to everything put together, they're completely transforming. So how do we create the new way? The challenge what we find here, when they're creating a digital natives and digital initiative, the biggest challenge is the middle level managers. Middle level managers, we have gone through that 15 years of cycle to reach a particular level of position. They continue to be not the digital natives people. So we're putting all our effort, get this country ready for digital initiative, hardware, software, merger, everything putting together. One important thing which is happening now, in the past we created for managing digital something called Data Security Council of India, leading to how do we ensure protection, privacy of data. One key aspect of it is from the law enforcement agencies like police people, they don't understand what is a physical crime and what is a cyber crime. We are possibly looking at training close about 70,000 policemen in the country, what does cyber crime means. How do we deal with it? One thing which we did. Second we did was National Institute of Smart Governance for improving the governance and efficiency standards, government delivering digital as a platform. And last is, last but not the least, what we've done, 3 years back, the government of India created a program for how do we India contribute to the overall skill shortage, the global, of skilling close about 50 million people on digital entire IT and digital way, and that we are setting up an entity within National Skills Development Corporation. As I said, last but not the least, which happened last week, is a Center of Excellence for IoT. Right? I'll be spending more time on Center of Excellence on IoT and leave everything else. Again, just to pick the thread from what Mr. Valentine said, this is a busy chart. Essentially, what it's capturing for you, what is happening in terms of the changes happening in the digital enterprises. Many things. You did make a point, Mr. Valentine, that one of the importance of the change economy is how do we build resilience, how do we insulate from external business challenges taking place, right? What is also important, then you talked about flood, natural disasters, etc., etc. I would like to add one more dimension, is the digital attackers. Every business today is getting attacked by digital, right? If I had to draw a parallel from non-engineering and manufacturing, maybe they're also getting challenged. But look at, say, the typical commercial application like in retail or a banking or a telecom, you have a new digital attackers who are saying, upsetting the business model, what it is getting done. The consumers today, as I said, the digital consumers are now depending on an experience which is not anymore physical, the experience more which is mobile. So how do we manage the digital attackers? Several example could be a company like Apple, a company like, say, a Google, company like Amazon. They're all attacking the way retail is done. In banking, for example, in America, for example, in the last 3 years, 25% of the retail branch banking of all the US major corporate banks have closed, right? They converted the bank not as a banking transaction. They converted all the bank as utility space for the people to serve the customers well. I'm fairly confident, even in this hall today, most of us today do not go physically to a bank to withdraw cash. Right? Things are changing. What is required? How do we enable? Those are the kind of stuff which is happening. When the context of a larger enterprise, what we find, it has got, again, everything is getting connected. Whether internet drove it, or whether the processes drove it, or a globally interdependent economy drove it, but everything today is connected. People are connected, systems are connected, processes are connected, countries are connected, manufacturing units are connected. So what is required is, how do we build all these connected enterprises as one large enterprise which serving your suppliers on one end and end customers on the other end? An example could be, if for example, in the context of, again, a banking institution, today, previously the banks used to categorize their customers as high net worth individual, mid individual, this capacity, that capacity, etc. The data what they have today is phenomenal. They have done deep customer insight. They're changing it as a profile of person. If I am a frequent traveler, I'm more valuable to the bank today than somebody is a pure high network individual. Because as a frequent traveler, the way I conduct my business, I could be traveling with a car, doing my mobile commerce transaction, maybe accessing a site elsewhere to do my, say, in real estate investment, etc. They are trying to say, how do I leverage a connected individual as a way to look at it? So those are some of the big schematic changes which is happening around us, and all these things are putting huge processes on how do we make the devices smart, the people smart, the processes smart, and how do they yet communicate together to deliver large enterprise value. So in that context, this is an interesting slide again. I'm repeating what I said earlier with, for example, merging boundaries. So gone are the days that you will possibly create one mass product for consumption across the world. And additive manufacturing, is what is otherwise also called 3D printing, allows you to create entire manufacturing processes like a JPEG file what you send it across anywhere else where the manufacturing could take place. That is again which is no feasibility is taking place. People are saying leveraging the boundaryless cross borders to look at how do we leverage new technologies taking place. And to my mind again, there are long tail economies. When I say long tail economies, instead of creating one product mass for the total global market, people are saying, how do I create product with the local requirements and what needs to be done for a local condition, as much variation as possible. Previously, you were telling me that, Valentine was saying that earlier, variation was considered to be bad. Today, variation of the word is continuously good. I'm not saying that quality variance, manufacturing variation, create as many products for different segment is what is required. Again, I'll give an example from the mobile telephony company, or any one of you are creating products for your back office entities. Year back to 2 years back, we believe one software release once in 6 months was considered good. One product release, what you do once in 12 months was considered good. In today's world, people say possibly that you keep on testing what's happening. That companies are doing possibly one release every 15 days. There's a Chinese mobile manufacturing company called Xiaomi. Xiaomi does every 4 hours a release. Every 4 hours release, they keep, test what's going on, pick up your feedback, change the feedback that's required, create a new one. Company like second largest retail store in the world, Target Corporation, in the past when people are doing an e-commerce transaction on the net, the release used to be once in 7 months. Once in 7 months, you lost the customer. Today they do once in 15 days. Now they're saying, can we also do once in 4 hours? Once in 4 hours, release a product, test it, see the customer feedback. Is it directing flow of customer for buying your product, not buying, change it back. All these things are happening globally. An interesting fact is, all these things which I'm talking to what's happening globally is actually getting enabled from India. Right? Most of them are enabled from India. Either people who have set up their back office operations in India to create this capability, or Indian engineers working for these global corporations globally. So collectively, we have what it takes to build together what needs to be done. But having said this, all of them taking place, what we also believe, again, Mr. Valentine talked about the physical system and the cyber physical system. So again, interesting stuff. Again, what we are observing as a notable concept change is happening in the world of connected enterprise, digital enterprise, in manufacturing. Every device in a manufacturing unit is actually doing a self-physical health checkup, communicating to one another, what is the status of my health. Each of them are communicating interest in the back of the DCS and other back-end system to predict what will be the potential downtime, to predict and take corrective action to how do you manage, reduce downtime. So all this intelligence today is getting built on the elements of the factory, collecting together in global competitive advantage for the digital enterprise. So that is my world, what I will say as a digital enterprise. How does every element in an enterprise, people, processes, technology, PPT, communicate with one another intelligently, yet bring the total collective strength of an organization? These are all nice words, good to do, but what are the challenges? The challenge I'm saying is that biggest challenge is what we are finding is intellectual property ownership. Before I go there, again you talked about, Mr. Valentine talked about the business model getting disrupted. Very interesting. I'll take the name, no harm. Ashok Leyland, for example. Ashok Leyland, apart from the manufacturing, what they do, the trucks, what they give, when they are leasing out the trucks to the, say, people, typically the trucks are bought on a leasing basis. When they put the leasing charges, it assumes particular amount of time of travel, it assumes a particular way of coming back for repair and maintenance, etc. They particularly fix the fees without any idea what's going on. Now Ashok Leyland, the entire business model, what they're changing is, they're putting a sensor or an intelligent device or IoT, whatever you may like to call them. It keeps on monitoring the health of the truck as it's driving, can predict what is the next wear out which is going to take place. All of us know about the classic case of how GE aircraft, how all the Boeing's aircraft, the GE builds the entire sensors to predict how much of clockwork the engine has gone through to predict what will be the turnaround time for airworthiness the aircraft to fly. So everything which is happening across. But having said that, there are some challenges we're putting across. To address all of them, this is a program which I want to share with you. All of them are now focused on the entire global enterprises are fixed on one problem. It's called a 7-letter called MTTRCCD. Is a mean time to respond to changing customer demand. Right? Gone are the days that customer demands are going to be static. Customer demands are going to be constantly changing. How an organization reduces the so-called MTTR. In the past, we used to have MTTR as a word to reflect on the downtime. In today's world, MTTR has got resonance to your response to a changing customer demand. Either an individual or an entity or an organization, they're all now focused on the entire thing on MTTR-CCD. Now, they're going to spend some time. It is the center of excellence on being created by Government of India, right? It's a Department of Electronics and IT. It's a public-private partnership model where the seed fund being given by Government of India and private industry participating to create a pan-India initiative to democratize innovation around IoT, right? The assumption is there are going to be close to about 25 billion IoT devices in the planet by 2025. Right? I'm talking about 25 billion IoT devices. The assumption is fairly large component of the IoT devices could be in India as a planet territory. If we have a different challenges, a different problem, if we, and like with warmness, what Valentine said, there is IIC, there's an SMLC, there's a catapult, everything is there. In all of them, India is going to be the largest consumer of the IoT devices. Are we contributing to the standards? Are we being looked at people contributing to the standards? That is one of the objectives. Says create standards for India for our IoT device that gets deployed in this part of the planet and contribute to standards already available in the global market so that we are creating the spur of innovation required for IoT. Right? This is a project on which the 6 centers, is essentially the entire framework is enable. The framework enable says how do we create engineered product and solutions from India. When I say product, IoT product, technology product, hardware product, hardware software convergence product, the entire things from India. Second is there is enough and more of entrepreneurs are there in the country. How do we nurture the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem to be part of this entire journey, etc., etc., etc. So all of them are there. This deck will be available to you. Go through that. But the fundamental thing to look at here is that there is a need for skilling. There is a need for putting standard, there's need for putting a prototype development, there's need for you to create a design challenges for either a vertical solution or a horizontal solution. Vertical could be for say smart city, vertical solution could be for smart manufacturing, it could be for smart auto, smart factory, it could be for say smart energy, or a horizontal solution could be agriculture, water, healthcare, education. You put that, so many devices, so many things are required. Unfortunately, we are in a time when the engine is flying and you cannot wait for the engine to stop to repair. We just have to fix it and run. So we said, if government would do it themselves, it is going to take time. It says, can we leverage industry as a private partner? So from the, this is a program which currently there are 6 centers getting set up. The first one as a center of excellence is going to be in Bangalore, where it's going to be a diamond district. It's 8,000 square feet of area, where we are creating a space for people to come and design and prototype an IoT device. Thereafter, we are also getting a space for around 3,000 square feet of area. Again, 1,500 feet of area is being provided for people to come and validate the solution for say any of this vertical or the horizontal domain. Then I'm saying entire thing is democratized. Academia is a key component. In the past, academia has to run their business independently, possibly were doing research papers or present in some international conference, right? And the students were also very good in the colleges, but they had no exposure to create a product for them to get an internship taking place, which is getting the entire ecosystem together. The first one is at Bangalore. The next 7 sites has been identified. I don't know which one will follow, but the locations identified are Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Noida, Delhi, and Mumbai. There's the places. Like what we are saying is possibly the Bangalore could initially focus on a vertical is on say a smart building. In smart building, how do we create? Pune could focus on say smart manufacturing. Chennai could be on say smart auto. Hyderabad could be on security. Mumbai could be on smart city. That's the way the entire thing is conceptualized. The entire thing is conceptualized. The estimated market for product and services for IoT devices by 2025 is approximately about 300 billion US. And the assumption is if you play the card well, together we can corner up to close about 60 billion US, leveraging the strength of IT which India is very well known for, create a new strength for us in terms of creating a newer environment, newer innovation, newer profile for innovative India for the global market. Right? That's a program on this entire program is run across. As I said, 50% from the Department of Electronics IT is putting in 50% of total project cost per center on a seed fund. The balance 50% is what industry is going to pull in together. And as I speak to you, Technology Park of India, where they provided for the satellite uplink facility for providing the last mile connectivity, where people could come and utilize the facility and do it. Now they say in the world of 2015 to 2025, what is required is industry participation. So that's what we're trying to do. And hopefully we should change the way everything is going across. So, sir, back to your time zones. I'm 2 minutes ahead. So look forward to working with all of you. So that's a new world of digital enterprises. What you believe we can do it for the global market. We are going to be the largest consumers of the digital solution in any case. Thank you so much.